Okay. I've had a very weird start to my day. And I just felt like I have to share what happened because this is nuts what happened this morning. So about 7:30 this morning, their dogs start barking. The ones right behind us start barking. And then, of course, they get the ones next door all riled up, and then they start barking. So it's this whole, like, bark fest. So I look out the window. They're all barking. I don't know what's going on. I was half asleep. I get up. I go to the bathroom. I come back. And then an hour later, it gets worse. The barking has gotten out of control. And, I probably need to get up anyway. So I get up, and I look out, and I see that dog. So they have two behind us. They have two dogs. One of them is a tricolored, I'm going to say an Australian Shepherd or Border Collie. And the other is like a chocolate lab setter mix, maybe. So they have two dogs. So then at this point, when I look out the window at about 8:30, I see the tricolored dog barking over here towards her yard. And I don't really see anything else going on. Well, I saw a deer, and they always bark at the deer. We have deer here all the time, so they're barking at this deer, and so I'm like, okay, what is so out of control? Because something's still not right. I mean, I can hear stuff happening here that I can't see from that window. So I come downstairs and I go out onto my deck, and their chocolate lab setter dog now is over here in her yard with the deer, like cornering it and trapping it. My eyeglasses are ready. Cornering it and trapping it and not letting it move. And I'm on my deck and she's on her deck, and we'll call her Gloria. I don't use people's names on here. We're going to call her Gloria. So Gloria's on her deck and I'm on my deck, and we're yelling across from each other. We're trying to get the dog to stop taunting this deer. And I'm like, what do we do? Like, how long has this been going on? And she said, I just got out here like 5 minutes ago. So we're talking. Then the tricolored Australian Shepherd whatever dog jumps into my yard and then hops our fence, hops into hers, and attacks the deer. Full-blown attacks the deer. So I run down my deck out past the observatory that we don't have anything in right now. I run out kind of by my shed, and I'm standing there, and I'm turned this way, and I'm seeing this whole thing, and we're just screaming. We're screaming at these dogs to knock this off. And at one point, I'm out there, and that Border Collie, Australian, whatever, Shepherd, whatever, it jumps and it grabs the deer by the mouth and it hangs off of him. And this dog is probably like a 40 or 50 pound dog. And the deer, it's not, I wouldn't say it's full grown, but it's not a baby. If it had been a baby, these dogs would have absolutely killed this deer. But this deer was big enough. It was probably a couple 100 pounds, maybe, well, probably more than that. It's so hard to know. He was a pretty thin deer, but he was pretty grown. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But this dog gets a hold of his mouth, the deer's mouth, and is hanging there. And I start to panic. I am panicking. And I don't panic anymore, so I do not know. I'm so unfamiliar with panic. I don't know what to do. I'm just like panicked, and we're screaming at the dogs, and finally he lets go of the deer, and the poor deer is just bleeding. I mean, dripping blood from its face. Now, I don't know if the deer's leg was already injured before this whole thing ensued, or if the leg was like damaged in this altercation with these dogs. But the deer couldn't run away, couldn't jump the fence, couldn't get away. And I don't know why the tricolored dog did this, but it finally let go. It turned around, it jumped in my yard near me where I was standing, and I lost it on this dog. I started screaming at this dog. I was stomping my feet. I was throwing my fist up in the air, pointing, go home, get out of here, go home, get out of here, I was doing it with my left arm though, and my left arm, I'm having trouble with my shoulder. I'm actually having an MRI today, and the adrenaline was so high, I wasn't even paying attention, so now I'm really hurting, because I was just like, with everything in my body. Go, get out of here. So she, once the other dog goes back, it eventually jumps over back into its yard because I'm screaming at the thing, and it stops and turns around, and now it's just barking. It's barking at the deer that it just attacked, and the chocolate lab, whatever, setter dog that was there too. It's just barking from back there. So Gloria, she gets on the phone with 911 because we don't know who to call. We don't have the law enforcement for animals number on standby. So she calls 911. They transfer her to animal law enforcement. And then that whitish tricolored dog tried to jump back in, got back in my yard. And again, I go after it, and I'm screaming and, yelling at the thing. So glad it didn't come for me because I couldn't outrun that dog. I guess I scared it enough. But anyway, it went back and it stayed back there. And they sent out an animal law enforcement officer, and he was really nice. And he was in uniform, very, official. And but before he came, it was like a 15 to 20 minute wait before he arrived. And she has a dog run pin on the other side of her deck. And we're yelling at each other, cross talking to each other. And I said, do you think you could lock him? Do you think you could lure the dog in there? And she said, I might be able to. What should I do? And I said, do you have some dog treats? And she's like, yes. And so she ran in the house and she grabbed a handful of these big dog treats. And this poor deer is just trying to get away. And this dog never let the deer get further than about 6 feet from it. And when the deer kind of tried to lunge at it to get him to back off, he would just lunge close. The dog would just lunge closer to the deer. And it was just this fight. It just wasn't gonna resolve. So she comes out, she goes in, she gets these treats. She comes out, she throws one in the yard. The dog doesn't see it. So she throws another one. Dog sees it. Instantly distracted by a treat. The poor deer is curled up in the corner of her yard, bleeding from its mouth, terrified. And she kind of does a breadcrumbs thing to the pen, and the dog took the bait, went right in. And when the dog got in and was eating that last treat or two, she ran down her stairs on her deck. She flew over there as fast as she could. She was barefoot, and it was not warm this morning. And the yards are not soft because they're not green. And she runs over there, and the deer wasn't afraid of her or I at all at this point. And so she runs over, she latches the gate closed, and now the dog, the one that was cornering the deer, is trapped. The tricolor one is still barking like crazy and is really mad at this point. So then the officer shows up, and he comes in, and we're talking to him and telling him everything that happened and what's going to happen to the deer. And he said, the deer's going to have to be put down. And I'm like, are you kidding me? There's no other way to can't you just let it go and see if it will mend itself? Don't put it down because of the stupidity of somebody else's dogs. Just let it go, whatever. Anyway, so Gloria and I have to remember to say her name as not her name because I don't want to spill the beans. So Gloria and I we're super disappointed that that's going to happen. But what, we had no choice but to call this guy. And he got a leash, and he went over to the dog pen thing that she trapped him in. And he got the dog, got on the leash, and took it to his truck. He basically impounded the dog, and he was going to cite them for this. Now, there's no laws I don't know if it's nationwide or just in our state, but there's no laws that say that, that protect wildlife in this situation, basically, because a dog can attack a wild animal and there's nothing legally that can be done. If a dog attacks another pet, like somebody else's dog or cat or whatever, then legal gets involved with this. So it's kind of sad to me that wildlife has no protection but that's, I don't want to get political on this page, so we're not gonna go there. So he takes the dog. He's gonna cite them for this incident with the dog getting in her yard at the very least. And then he told me that we both need to write a report, and I need to write my witness account of what happened with this other dog, the one that was actually the attacker of this poor deer that's, just totally injured and broken now. So I got online and I went ahead and I filled out a form and everything. I think he's going to try to cite these people for every violation that he possibly can within the law, which is good because they should be. That's insane. They weren't even home. And I mean, we are screaming and their dogs are just out and they're not even home. They don't care. So the deer, after he takes the chocolate dog and puts it in his truck, the deer starts creeping closer to like her shed, which is more central in her yard, but it's still very far in the back. And he comes back after that and he's making phone calls, trying to get whoever to come out to euthanize this deer. And Gloria and I said later that I think the energy, I don't know how you are about things like this, but I do believe that wild animals can pick up on our senses to a degree. And I think this deer knew that she and I were trying to save her, but this officer guy was not. And so he'd taken the dog, put it in his truck. He came back. He starts creeping towards her, and I think he's trying to get a picture of her injury on her face and mouth and maybe her leg. And she took it as an opportunity, or he, I don't know what gender the deer was, but it took the opportunity to bolt, and it jumped she and I's fence. I don't know how it did it on this leg. Then it jumped he and I's fence, and then it jumped the fence behind him. Once it got into his yard, its left back leg was just dragging. It wasn't even trying to put weight on it anymore. So I don't know how, but I like to call her a she. She's a she, because she's a she. So she jumps his back fence, and then I think she jumped one more and went further south into one of the yards behind this cul-de-sac on the other side of that street. And the officer was going to go try and find her, and I don't know that he will, but oh my gosh, it was just a really rough start to the day. And then that panic that I had when that dog did that, if I relive it, I'll cry, because I don't panic like that anymore. And that's very, very difficult for me. I think it's difficult for a lot of people. I don't know how different it would be with somebody with bipolar disorder, but oh my gosh, I panicked really badly. And then my shoulder, all of this is happening, everything's happening, and I don't know what's going to happen. I did take a picture of the deer when we were waiting on the officer to come. So when the dog was trapped and that one was kept at bay in its yard, damn dogs. And I did take a picture of the deer's face because I didn't know. So in my form that I submitted, I did include the picture of the deer showing kind of the damage of its mouth and face. But anyway, what a rough way to start a day. And I have a lot going on, not to mention my arm and my MRI, and I hate MRIs. I really don't want to have one, but I need to know what's going on. I need to know if something's wrong, and if I need to do physical therapy or some other approach, whatever it is. But this just kind of like, it's taking me all the rest of the morning and now part of early afternoon to like calm down from it, because it just threw a huge wrench in the day. So I just had to tell you the craziness that happened. So I don't know what they're going to do. We've talked about we have chain link fences here. And well, I guess we technically we have a gate. But all of our fencing here for our backyard is chain link. And we would like to do a higher one, like wood fence, to keep the deer out some, because there's a lot of deer poop in the yard, and because we go in and out with the observatories all the time, it's just, it'd be nice to not have to navigate that. And also they eat all the flowers, so I can't have a garden, which I would love to have a garden. So there's things that I'd like to do, but I don't want to have to be expedited because they're not responsible pet owners. That's not really my job. But eventually I'm hoping that they'll do it. I'm hoping that they'll do the back one, at least on their side of our chain link, just put up something that will keep these dogs from jumping over there. Like, I don't understand. I don't have dogs. Maybe that's part of the problem. I don't have dogs. She does. Gloria, she has a dog, Gunther. Gunther was on the deck the whole time, and he was fine. Like, he wasn't being a jerk. He was just watching the chaos, I'm sure not understanding what was happening. He's a good dog, but he's gotten into our yard before, but he doesn't chase after wildlife and deer in like an attack kind of way. He's more like a curious, happy dog, and so I don't have any problem like going and getting him and guiding him back to his own yard. That's fine. I've never seen him be aggressive with like an animal. And I have a cat. Indoor, one cat. She's not allowed outside. If you see my cat outside, she's lost. She's never been outside other than if I carry her out on the deck to take in the snowfall or something fun. But oh my gosh, anyway, I think I just needed to kind of like tell the story and get it out there, because it's like, the panic is what really, really got to me this morning. Panic is a very, very bad thing, and that's how I started my Thursday, was panicked. So things are quiet now. It's calm now. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen with the deer. I hope they don't find her. I hope they don't find her, and that she can go on with her life. I hope that that's okay. But these people and these dogs, I mean, they're going to have to pay at least one fine and whatever to get their dog out of being impounded. The other one, I don't know what'll happen. But anyway, it was a scary morning. It was a rough morning. So just thought I would put out a real life story today instead of reading something, because wow, I couldn't have made that up if I tried. So I hope your day's going better than mine. I am going to have a snack, make a pot of decaf coffee, and then I'm going to go run some errands before I have to have my MRI on my shoulder. So anyway, hope you have hope you've had a better day than I have, and hope you have a better rest of your day. And I hope the same for me. I hope that the panic and the chaos is over for now. So all I can do is hope. But anyway, happy Thursday.